back in 2023, I think it was, at Graskop, the big swing. And we have to drive from Barberton, obviously, to there. And on the drive there, I didn't really think about it until we started getting closer and closer. Like we were passing the Sapi, and I'm thinking, okay, now I'm seeing those trees. Now I'm seeing those trees, and it's like, okay, we're getting closer, and I'm just gonna jump. And I'm thinking about how I'm gonna go about it, like the technique, because I am afraid of heights. I am really, really, really afraid of heights. But I don't want to let my fear stop me from doing something exciting and to get to do this opportunity with someone. My husband and I were dating at the time, so we were going on a date for it. And it was my birthday, and he wants to do this for my birthday. So I want to do this. I really want to do this. And we get there, and I see the drop, and I'm still kind of convincing myself. The pep talk that I had to give myself, and I'm adjusting as we're putting the harnesses and everything on. I'm adjusting to say to myself, it's okay. No, I'm just gonna let the guy push me, and let that be it. I'm gonna basically fall into God's hands. That's my conclusion. When we get on the board and you have to move backwards, right? We get on the edge, and the guy says, okay, when you're ready, you can jump. And I'm like, aren't you gonna push me? And he's like, nah, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to do that. You have to jump of your own free will. This has to be your own choice and decision. And I realized something of Wuti. I can either do this, or I can stop myself from doing this and miss out on the opportunity. And I just let myself fall. I closed my eyes and I let go. And I fell. And yeah, it was very beautiful and nice. I didn't really open my eyes. I didn't really open my eyes until I was like now swinging to go down. But yeah, I'm glad that it's an opportunity that I took. But it made me realize, Gutsi Vele, it's you. You have the ability to convince yourself to doing something, and you have the ability to convince yourself of not doing something. You can convince yourself out of something. Hi, welcome to the channel Walking in My Faith. My name is Dihle. On this channel, I share my journey and my experience, the life lessons that I've learned after having surrendered my life fully to God. And last year, 2024, I think it was that year of prove it. Prove your faith. Actually put your faith where your mouth is. You're saying you trust God. You're saying God is your provider. Put your money where your mouth is and let him do like that type of thing. Show it. Show that you rely on God. Show that you have faith in God to be that. And I realized that it had to be one of the situations where I just close my eyes and I jump right in. But I'm easily my worst enemy, and sometimes I can convince myself in midair that this is the worst decision of my life, that this is the worst decision I've ever made. I can easily convince myself of that and refuse to open my eyes so that I can see the beautiful things that the view has to offer. You know what I mean? I can just swing there and refuse to enjoy it because I'm still lingering in my fear of Like I realized, it's never going to get easier. It's never going to get better. There are people in the Bible who lived in their blessing but still struggled in it. Look at Mary. You get what I mean? Like, it was hard for her to be pregnant and then still say that she's a virgin. You know what I mean? I'm sure that was also a struggle. Then having to give birth, not even in a proper room, but in a stable with no proper care. I'm bringing a miracle, a blessing into life. And life doesn't get easy. And then after that, they spend their time sort of running from a king who wanted to kill the baby and wanted to kill them. So they had to spend time in hiding and running. It didn't get easy. You know what I mean? It didn't get easier. Even with the Israelites, the Exodus, they are my biggest lesson. They are my biggest lesson. And I'm actually going to read today's verse from Deuteronomy 1, verse 29 to 33. This is Moses who is talking to the Israelites, and he said, I tried to relieve your fears Don't be terrified of them. God, your God, is leading the way. He's fighting for you. You saw with your own eyes what he did for you in Egypt. You saw what he did in the wilderness, how God, your God, carried you as a father carries his child, carried you the whole way until you arrived here. But now that you're here, you won't trust God, your God, the same God who goes ahead of you in your travels to scout out a place to pitch camp, a fire by night and a cloud by day, to show you the way to go. It's important not to make decisions without informing God of the decisions you want to make or asking, consulting. I mean, these people who have to do these tribal things and all of these things, sometimes I could never do all of those cult things because I really can't follow routine. Do you get what I mean? Like the fact that we see my Bible is so nice to read makes it easy for me to sort of want to read it, and my relationship that I've developed with God after so many years makes it very pleasurable for me to read it. But if it's something that oh my word, like I heard of this one guy in Mamilodi who has to go to a river every day so that he can get money. And I don't know what he's doing by the river. They talk about a fish or whatever. I don't care. But all I could see that's a burden. He has to go to a river every day. He can't leave the country. Can he take the river water with him maybe? So this person cannot leave the country. He cannot go on vacation to another province where he has no access to the river. He has to basically stay here. How is he enjoying the money? How is he enjoying the money? That really sounds like a burden. And then you find out these other ones that have to sleep with virgins constantly. How do you know that somebody's a virgin? They can easily lie. Okay, I guess Vele, this thing will show you because Vele is hunting for virgins. I guess maybe that's how it works. But I have a lot of questions. How do they not ask a lot of questions? My first question would be, how do I get out of this cultic thing before I get into this cultic thing? I know I'm completely off topic, but it's just the question that I always have about people's thought processes, especially people who want to take the easy way out of certain things. Okay, you want money, life is difficult, and you cannot live with what you have. Like, I have learned to put blinders on, like, here, because I recently learned the definition. Well, not recently, but yes, actually recently, because it was like a few months ago when I actually did a deep dive into the 10 Commandments to really find out what lust means. At the time, I was under the impression that you can only be sexually lustful over your neighbor's wife. But no, it's lustful over your neighbor's household, meaning everything that they have, you are envious of it, you want it, and then you start to sort of, what is this, carcass, and, you want to plan against your neighbor to get everything that they have. You're willing to do anything and everything to trample over your neighbor so that you can get what they have. That is the lustful thing. And I realized, the Lord gave us each individual gifts for individual purposes. I cannot rush to have what other people have because I don't know what they're doing to get all of those things. Deeper than, I don't know the sacrifices they've made. I don't know the detail of their relationship with God. So there's no way that I can, if we're really talking like serious, I kind of came to the understanding or realization, which if I want to compete with anybody spiritually, the only people I get to compete with are the people in the Bible, because they really sacrificed. Do you know what both Ezekiel and both Jeremiah had to do and go through just in the name of the Lord? Some of those things that they do, I think, Lord, please do not call me for such. Like, I don't think I'm qualified. But then, you see, I'm refusing to do something because it sounds gross and it sounds embarrassing and it sounds taxing and it sounds like a whole lot of demanding thing. But if the Lord wants you to do this and is asking you to do this, are you willing to be obedient irregardless of who says what, when they say what? Like when they say, Vele, put your faith way into practice, it's not easy to walk by it. It's really not easy, because if we think about all these people who had to be obedient and faithful to God and the sacrifices they had to make, and if you have to really die to yourself every single day, it means you must have no wants. Guys, I have to remind myself every day, that it's useless for me to want because I have nothing and I am nothing without the Lord. It's kind of how I keep myself organized, by repeating sort of these things and these words, and reminding myself, Mene, all I can do is build my wealth and my treasures in heaven, building heavenly things, wanting a car, wanting a house, wanting that doesn't really help me in the bigger hindsight of things. It doesn't necessarily help me if I'm not willing to do the Lord's will, if I'm not willing to be obedient to Him. It means I've accomplished all these things on earth for nothing. So I try to keep that. But it's your fear. So what I'm trying to say, you can easily convince yourself to doing something, and you can easily let other people convince you into doing the wrong things. Please, by all means, read the Exodus journey. The Exodus generation, their journey is kind of, it teaches you to take responsibility and accountability of yourself and your actions and your choices. It teaches you to be mindful of certain things. It teaches you not to complain, I would say. Because if we're being honest, they didn't necessarily have an enemy that was attacking them. Like, they don't say a devil, or otherwise maybe it's in between the lines and I didn't catch it, that the devil was the one influencing them to do all of these things. But instead, it was a small group of people who were, dissatisfied or impatient, or they didn't want to, and then they influence the larger people. So don't let yourself be influenced by other people in the choices. The first time they got influences, they built a golden calf statue, and it was basically based off impatient. They refused to be patient and wait for Moses to come down the mountain with the next instruction from God. So they ended up doing the wrong thing. The next time, it was a matter of desire and craving of the flesh. They were giving into their flesh's craving. They were craving meat, and they now wanted meat and the things that they were getting in Egypt, and they started complaining, and they belittled God and what He was providing. They got punished. So don't complain about the little that you have. Learn to nelsega, learn that it's enough. All the things that you need to survive have already been placed in you to survive. You will be fine, you will survive. These are some of the things that you kind of come to being content with. I think that's Colossians 3 that talks about being okay with your complacency, like being okay with not being important. Then the third time, it was based off a fear. They were afraid of the giants and the things that they had saw in the promised land, and then they came back and they put in fear into other people. You know what I mean? Like, someone in your family maybe wanted to start a business, wanted to start something, and they started, but they failed. And now that happened, and everybody's putting that fear of, look at this person failed when they started. So what? That's not you. That's not your problem. That has nothing to do with you. You have your own journey, your own mind, your own brain, your own thinking, your own thought process, and you have access to something that they probably didn't have access to. I'm just saying. So don't let other people convince you into rerouting the decision you've made, especially if you've made the decision to follow God and to give yourself in and surrender. Trust me, this journey is not easy. I have to remind myself every day when I want something. I have to remind myself every day when I want something. I am under the Lord's mercy. And I like the fact that knowing he sees, oh, Shem, this little girl, the baby, and God has made my life easy. And God has made my life a lot easier. It could be a lot worse, especially with walking into the unknown. That's kind of how I felt when I was bungee jumping into, putting my hands in God and jumping into the unknown. That's kind of how I felt. Last year when I was getting married, last year when my husband and I were both unemployed, as we were getting married, last year we had no place to live, we had there was a lot going on. But the Lord said, trust me, I got you. And that's pretty much what He's done. Now my husband got a job literally a week. We got married on the Saturday, and I'm always going to give this testimony. We got married on the Saturday. The Tuesday, I think it was, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, between those 2 days, he got a phone call to say he's hired. And we thought it was an interview, but no, they were like, we need him to start on Monday. And now we're living in our own place. We don't have everything, but we have more than enough that we need. Like, we're able to survive daily. He and I are in a blissful situation. Like, I don't know. I can sit and complain and count the things that I don't have, and but I like to look at the things that God has done for me in just a year, and I like to think that the doors are just beginning to open, and look what the Lord has done. Like, I just praise Him during the times where I feel like, we don't have this in the house, and I'm thinking, like, use what you have, girl. We have onions. Yes, we don't have green pepper, but we have onions. It's just that easy. I don't know. At some point, really, you have to put your faith where you where your mouth is, and be actually required to live by those words. It's not as easy as I thought it would be, but it's definitely not as hard as I expected it to be. The Lord is awesome, and I'm just gonna praise Him forever. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.